Eric Henderson is in our present. South Dakota State head coach. Just came off his first year as the head man. And how about this? Summit League Coach of the Year. Not bad for a guy who had his first year as a head coach, and many more good things to come in his future with the Jackrabbits. I'm Bryan Fenley with Fox Sports Radio. And Eric, for a coach who just took over and for a program that was supposedly rebuilding, I didn't see anything in the vicinity of rebuilding last season. And what it comes to show is you never underestimate the Eric Henderson effect. What coaching ingredients did you mix in that grooved so well for your players last year?
Well, well, I appreciate those kind words, Bryan, but I think probably more of it had to do with you don't underestimate the effect of a culture, of a program that has had a history of a great amount of success, and so that mentality, that approach, that and support that we get from our administration, our fans, and that just that chemistry that we have was a heck of a lot more to do with it than the Eric Henderson effect. I can promise you that. But we were so fortunate to have a group of guys that really bought into an unselfish attitude, that cared more about their teammates than themselves. And I would say our best two qualities were how we shared the basketball and passed it, and then just maybe our youthfulness and our competitive spirit of kind of playing the underdog at South Dakota State, where normally we have a target on our back. And this year, with so many new guys, a new head coach, we were maybe hunting more than the hunted. And so that mentality served us well. And we have a great group of kids, and our staff really had great chemistry. So it was certainly a heck of a lot of fun.
So you go into that season, and I think your preseason picked fifth. You tied for first in the regular season for the title. How about defensively, some of the changes that you made? Obviously, what TJ did before you was incredible, but I know you would, and I watched and listened to some of your interviews where you've talked about doing some tweaks defensively. How do you think those worked and were able to do so many good things on the court for you guys as well?
Yeah, I think, we did. We tweaked some things, more probably on the defensive end than the offensive end. And part of it was, me, my mentality and how I wanted our team to, play, and what was value, what we were going to value as a team and as a program. But probably more importantly, it had to do with our personnel and what we felt like was best for our personnel. It's not like TJ didn't care about defense and I all of a sudden come in and care about defense. We had probably one of the best offensive players in the country when Mike Dom was a jackrabbit, and had other great players with David and Skylar. And with those guys not suiting up for us anymore, we had to kind of re-identify what were going to be our best qualities and give us the best chance to win. And so we decided that we were going to need to guard like crazy and rebound like crazy. And then so that was probably a little bit where it started. But then we started to do some shade left type stuff where we were going to take away pretty much all right hand drives and force players to pass with their left hand, and then rebound. You still playing our pack, kind of a pack defense type deal where we were going to protect the paint, but placed a high level of responsibility on not letting the ball get into the paint and rebounding, and then let's get out and run, baby, and see if we can score as many points as possible.
And you guys did that. I was just in awe of how many games were flirting with the triple digits as far as finishing games in the hundreds or the 90s and stuff like that. What did it say, and what did it mean to you that the university they basically wasted no time after TJ left and said, Eric, you're our guy?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when they come to you and ask if you're interested and this is something that would excite you, and then you have a conversation and they say they need to go no further. I mean, it really gives you a lot of confidence and that support that you feel from your entire administration, whether it was our athletic director, Justin Sell, or from President Dunn, all the way from the top. And they look in your eyes and say, we believe in you. And we understand the history of this place and how much success that we've had. And to say that we feel like you can continue that and not only continue that, but hopefully even make steps forward. And you're our guy to do that. Obviously it was very humbling. But also it gave you a shot of confidence when they don't take any time and say, let's roll, baby.
What's the most fun you've had with your team off the court?
Well, we've kind of ever since TJ, I came here when TJ came here 4 years ago, and that first summer we were thinking of team activities to do, and what can bring our team together chemistry wise, and where everybody can be a part of it and have success, whether you're one of the older coaches or whether you're the most athletic dude on the team. And so every year since that, what we've done in the summer is we go paintballing.
Wow.
And so it just, honestly, it just kind of opens things up for our guys, and where they can talk smack to the coaches. They can fire paintballs at the coaches and they can't get in trouble. And it's just been something that's been huge for our team chemistry wise, and guys opening up, whether they come from inner city Chicago or they come from a farm in White River, South Dakota, where everybody's just having fun. Everything is set aside. You're not thinking hoops. You're just, hanging out with your buddies. And so that's been something that probably is the most enjoyable outside of basketball.
Does anybody, because I've done that and I love it, but I also sometimes, like, if I would get, clipped close range, like there would be like a little welt. Have you ever had a player say, hey coach, take this, and get you pretty good?
Oh, you get welted up pretty good, but there's a lot of jokes and there's a lot of laughing. Yeah. We think it's all worth it.
I love it. The education background you come from, there was that time when you were a high school principal. And I'm curious to know how that experience helped make you more relatable to your players and even help with conflict management as you take over this program.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a unique situation where, kind of my background and there's probably not a lot of, Division I head coaches that have been a high school principal. Mm-hmm. But what it really helped me with, Bryan, is probably those tough conversations that you have to have with whether it's, a player, whether it's a coach, whether it's a parent or whoever. You still have the best interest of each individual, sure, but you're looking out for the team. And as a high school principal, there's many of those conversations, whether it's that had a wide range. And so to be able to have those tough conversations that aren't easy to have, but that certainly has probably made it a little bit easier because I've been through some of those situations before as a high school principal. And then just kind of that leadership deal where you have a group of teachers you needed to lead and help monitor them and try to give them a great situation and responsibility to educate your kids. It's just like your assistant coaches. You want to make them feel invaluable and give them responsibility where, they feel like they're irreplaceable and they're so important. And so I've used those two things probably stand out more than anything of how I relate that, being a principal to a head basketball coach.
Eric Henderson is with us, South Dakota State head coach. I'm Bryan Fenley with Fox Sports Radio. And as a high school principal, you certainly are a face of a community, which you are now as well, very recognizable given your position as the South Dakota State head coach. How common is it for you, coach, to say, go into a store, the grocery store, the bank, whatever, and people come up to you?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly happens quite a bit, and we're Brookings, South Dakota is a town of about 25,000 people. And it's an absolute college town to the fullest. And it evolves around South Dakota State, and our community supports us like crazy. And we have a great home environment. Not only do they support us financially, but they show up. and they cheer us like crazy. And so it's, it happens quite a bit. And, I have 4 young kids who are really, really active in sports in the community. And so it's fun to be able to, go to the baseball diamond or go to the soccer field or go to the basketball, the local Y where my kids are playing, and people to see me out in the community, not only as their basketball coach, but, as a husband and a father, and supporting those guys, as well. So
Yeah.
it's certainly unique, but it's certainly enjoyable too. And I'm really fortunate to do it in a community that really supports our team.
Yeah, and I want to get to that because for people that don't understand the power of your fans and playing at home and how much consecutive winning you do at your home gym, give people a sense outside of South Dakota just how big of an advantage that is for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot that plays into it. We're not an easy place to get to, so the travel for the other team,
Yeah.
can be tough. And then when they get into Frost Arena, we've been undefeated at our place 6 of the last 10 years, and have,
Amazing.
as far as the last 10 years go, the highest winning percentage at home in all of college basketball.
Mhm.
And I think we're currently, third as far as the longest home winning streak in the country. And so we've had a tremendous amount of success. And first and foremost, it goes to our players. We just have an extreme amount of confidence when we're playing at home. But there's also a great amount that goes to our fans and our community, our alumni, who come and support us, whether it's we're in a blizzard or whether it's perfect weather. They're going to show up, and they're loud, they're passionate, they're very, very knowledgeable. They're not going to complain about every call, but they're certainly homers. So we're proud of that too.
What's the worst weather conditions that you've had to deal with traveling to a game?
I mean, it gets pretty nasty here
Yeah.
as far as snow and blizzard and things like that. There's times when it's, 40 below and the wind's howling and the interstates are closed. So there's times you can't even leave, but yeah, it can get pretty rough. And for the most part, it's not too bad, but you get, 4 or 5 times a year for a day or two. And I've lived, it's been pretty tough.
Yeah. Yeah. From people that live in California would have no idea what that's like. That's fascinating. The thing about you as a coach as well, which I'm very curious about, what drives you bonkers? If there's one thing on the court that you see and you're like, that really gets on my nerves more than anything else, what is that?
I mean, it has to be just that competitive spirit. If a kid
Okay.
is like lackadaisical, it's just like, man, how can you even do that? Like, how can you play like that?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's not even feasible,
Yeah.
so that's something that I'm sure our players would say the same. It just like drives our whole staff crazy. And so we don't see it often. And you know what? We have to do a little bit of part of that in our practice planning where you don't allow that and things like that. But that's something that's just like, oh, just gut wrenching.
Yeah. I want to ask you about your players and some of the big timers in just a moment. You have been open about being, you were raised in a single parent home. I was as well. And I'm curious, growing up for you and even through the basketball ranks, who did you look to outside your home to help raise you?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my mom, I lived with my mom growing up, but, my dad was a dairy farmer. And even though I didn't see him very much, he still, instilled some values on me
Sure.
that were invaluable. Like the work ethic of a dairy farmer is incredible, in the commitment that you have to have to your job. And so,
Wow.
so I say that I certainly lived with my mom, but certainly got great,
Yeah.
traits from both of them. And then, but outside my family, I was fortunate enough, 2 people really stick out early on in my life was my 6th grade teacher, and then my high school basketball coach both really kind of took me under their wing a little bit and said, hey, you're not going to make any excuses here. I don't care where you come from, whatever. It doesn't really matter. You got work like crazy. There's not going to be any excuses. If you mess up, there's going to be consequences. I don't really care what the deal is. So those two guys really, really stick out early in my career. And then, when I went off to college to Wayne State, I was able to play for Coach McDermott, who's now the head coach at Creighton. And he really did the same, and held me accountable to a really, really high standard of expectation. And when I didn't meet those expectations, he let me know about it. And so just that accountability factor from those people in my life were really, really huge. And it's certainly at the timing of those situations were really important too.
How would Greg let you know that you didn't meet his expectations? What was his procedure to tell you, like, all right, man, I know you could do so much more than what you're doing right now?
More times than not, like, it would be pretty vocal.
Okay.
like at the time, like, this is back in the late 90s, and he would, you have to coach different people different ways.
Sure.
And so he was so relatable to me. And so I would be one boy that he could just kind of make a point to the whole team. And so he would let me know about it in an aggressive way.
Oh,
and at the same time, you go into his office and he would just pump you with confidence and talk about how valuable you were in different ways. And so to be able to have that relationship of, hey, I love you. This is how important you are, but also no, don't get too comfortable. I'm gonna help you out too.
I would have to. Yeah. I would have to think, and Eric Henderson is with us, South Dakota State head coach. I'm Bryan Fenley, that you probably could glean a whole lot from the way he handles relationships with players as how you are doing that with your own guys now. And I look at this last year, and there was so much that was unknown because you had lost so much scoring, and you have this influx of players. And then you have a guy like Douglas Wilson, and my goodness, leads the team in points, rebounds, and he comes in and all of a sudden is the Summit League Player of the Year, the Newcomer Player of the Year, all-conference first team. You knew when you brought him in, this guy had some special talent to him, but to see him thrive the way he did under your first year, how was he able to do that?
Yeah, there's a couple things that stand out. As far as Doug goes, we knew that Doug was going to be a tremendous defensive player. When we recruited him, we knew how athletic he was and his versatility on the defensive end. So we always felt like he was capable of being maybe the defensive player of the year, okay, in our league. But then the more we were able to work with him and see the value that he could bring on both ends of the floor, really, really just blossomed. And obviously his athleticism and his unique ability to finish around the rim are probably two of the things that stand out offensively as far as his ability to score. But as a good of scorer as he is, he's just what makes him so special is his ability to be the best teammate on the floor. Like, he feels almost uncomfortable if we keep going to him time after time. Like, he's not going to feel like, man, I have to score this 5 times in a row, even though I'm touching it. He's probably his ability to pass, and his maybe not only ability to pass, but his willingness to pass and still score it at the level he does is what makes that man really, really special. He's an incredible teammate, incredible dude, and probably was one of the better paintball players too. So
Really? What made him one of the better paintball players? Would he hide behind and then pop out all out of nowhere?
Aggressiveness. He's talking crazy smack, and it's pretty fun.
Oh my gosh, I can't think of a better team building activity than that. And then you've got the 3-point shooting of, is it Noah Friedel and what he brings?
Yeah, Noah Friedel.
Friedel, sorry.
No, it's all good. he had he really had a tremendous, freshman year. He, and very similar to Doug, we weren't sure what type of impact, Noah would have the moment he stepped onto campus. He was committed to Wright State. And then when I got the job, he ended up, deciding that maybe that was a little too far away from home. And we had a scholarship open, and he asked if we had any interest. And certainly once he got released by Wright State, we certainly did. And his competitive spirit, and his knack for the moment really are kind of things that stand out. He's also a very, very unselfish player. We were one of the most efficient offensive teams in the country last year. And I really look at, Doug, and I look at Noah as big parts of that, because even though they have scoring mentality, they're not willing to take bad shots to do it. And so I thought that was something that was really valuable about both of those guys. And Noah's ability for to score from different levels, whether he's attacking the basket or shooting it from behind the arc, he's really gonna be a special player.
So you got Noah coming back, you got Doug, a lot of other guys that played huge roles on your team last year, and then you've got an influx of newcomers. And so what has it been like? Have you been able to reunite with the guys since, what's happened with the whole COVID thing, and having that experience with everybody in person yet? And what's that like?
Yeah, it's certainly unique for everybody, but it's a little bit different for everybody too, and being where we live in South Dakota, where we pretty much social distance regardless of if there's a pandemic or not.
Sure.
There's just we were fortunate enough to be able to get our guys back to campus, where early, probably about mid-June, most of our guys were back, and we weren't allowed to work them out, but they were able to use our facilities and work and train in the weight room with our strength and conditioning coach, who does a tremendous job. And so to be able to get our guys back together was something that's really, really important for our team and culture. And then, once July 20th hit, per NCAA rules, we were able to, work with our guys. We were not able to do anything competitive.
Okay.
So no one-on-one, no 5-on-5, nothing like that. But probably the most important thing, and even more important than doing that, we were able to spend time with our guys in the gym and just build that relationship, let them know how much we loved them, look into their eyes, and continue to develop their skills in a one-on-one basis. That was something that, has been invaluable for our team. And what makes this team special is our chemistry and our unselfishness. And so to be able to get back in front of each other and spend some time together has been really, really special for our team. So it's certainly been different than summers in the past, but you try to make the best out of every opportunity in what you have in front of you. And that's what our guys have done.
Having you there and being with the guys, it must be just so morale boosting to have everybody around and, get shots up. And like you said, you're doing what you can. There's not a whole, you were saying before that there are some things like you guys don't do a lot of 5-on-5, or can you do a lot of 5-on-5 at this point? Or is it more just like, as far as what you're doing in these workouts, getting shots up, doing drills, like what goes inside the gym, and how hands-on are you able to be with your players?
Well, we're pretty hands-on. We've been able to coach them since July 20th. So we've certainly been very aggressive with that, and certainly been doing a lot of teaching. Yeah. Our administration, like I said before, was so supportive in bringing our student athletes back to campus and putting, health and safety first. They feel like we are in a pretty good spot to keep them and do good things for them and give them, an opportunity to get into the gym and get into the weight room. But they also understand that, the more contact that you have with other people, that there's probably a little bit more risk involved. And so they decided, which was certainly understandable, that we were not going to do any contact. So we were not allowed to play 1-on-1. We're not allowed to play 5-on-5. But we were able to be in the gym with our guys, and we did a lot of one-on-one workouts, getting shots up, working on our quickness, working on our change of direction and speed, and just different things that, we feel like skill development is a big part of our success. So to be able to do that with our players, we feel fortunate to be able to do what we can do.
And it's going to pay off in a big way this upcoming season. I can't wait, Eric, to see you guys continue to skyrocket and the perception around your program on a national stage. I mean, it's caught my eye the last couple of years, and there are millions and thousands of college basketball fans that are focusing on South Dakota State and looking at this as just a dynasty that you guys have built, and you are at the front and center of it. And I'm stoked for you. I can't wait to see what happens next year. And I hope we get to do this again, man, because I really did enjoy this. And I can just see the optimism and positivity oozing from you and your players. And I want to hear next time you guys go paintballing. I want to know who wins, because that is fascinating. I think that's I just love that, just from a competitive standpoint, but also just like as a cathartic standpoint. Like, hey, coach, take this.
Yeah, thanks, Bryan. I do. I feel really fortunate to be where I'm at a school that really values, my favorite sport and the sport that I'm involved with. And so that's exciting. But, it's certainly a lot bigger than me, and it's a lot bigger than our current team. There's been tremendous coaches before me and tremendous players before me. So the history and the success that we've had in the past is something. There's a lot of longevity to it, and I'm just feel fortunate to be able to lead this group of guys right now.
Eric Henderson, humble as can be, and so dynamite on the court. Thank you so much, Eric, and let's do this again sometime.
Sounds great, my man.